you have the environment of the public school. Then you have the environment of like a Seton Hall prep. You have the environment of a St. Peter's prep. You have the environment of an oratory prep. And you take the kids and you put them in these environments, and all of a sudden they are different kids. And they are different kids because, to me, the school is expecting the best from these kids. They expect them to perform at a high level. It's expected. In the public school, when you put the kids in lower level, you expect them to perform at a level 2 performance. You are not expecting them to perform at a level 4 performance. And that's part of the problem. And I always say this. Think about it. One kid is in level 5. Another kid goes through school in level 3. Somehow, that kid decides that, you know what? I'm going to try to go to Seton Hall University. And the kid may get in through some EOP program, as an example, or an MLK program, right? And they go to Seton Hall. And that kid decides to major in business, accounting. And the other kid in level 5 decides to major in accounting. Both of them now have to take the same classes. They don't put them in a different level classes. They're not all of a sudden, well, you in level 4 accounting and you in level 2 accounting. All of a sudden, no, they're all in the same classes because they have to take the same requirements in order to graduate. And sometimes, a lot of times, the kids who they had no hope in high school turns out to be the way better student than sometimes, not all the time, than the kid who was in the level 5. Because the kid in level 5 all of a sudden was a home kid, never really experienced anything, and this is the first time they're being away from home, and they decide to like, man, I'm going to enjoy life. But the kid who was in level 3 say that, man, I'm the first one in my family to go to college. I got to make the best of this. I got to study hard. I got to apply myself. If I need a tutor, I got to get a tutor because I don't have to pay for a tutor if I'm at Seton Hall. Or I could get the brightest student in the class to help me. And they apply themselves. So, to me, levels is the most bogus, waste of time thing they can have because it doesn't help kids of color. And people have to understand that, you know, it's funny. When you speak about stuff that is, when you speak about racism, people think that you anti-white. When you speak about and I heard this. I didn't make this up. Not because I'm pro-black mean to say I'm anti-white. Not because a lot of the kids at Columbia, a lot of the black kids at Columbia in the lower levels, and I fight for that. Mean to say that I don't want the kids in the AP. I don't want the white kids in AP classes stay in AP classes.
Yeah, I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it. I do not care about race. I don't care. I just.
What do you mean by you don't care about race?
It's not that I don't care about race. I don't look at it the same way that other people look at it. Look. If look at it this way. If you took all those kids who were black and you made them blue, and then you took all the kids who were white and you made them green, you'd have a problem with blue kids who were in level 2 not being as successful as the green kids who were in level 5.
But wait a minute. I don't understand that analogy. If you take that's not reality, though.
What do you mean that's not reality?
green and blue is not reality.
I understand that.
But reality
it's an example.
But that's not reality though.
But
that's never going to happen.
But they're kids.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's do this. Take some of the black kids and dress them white.
No.
And take some of the white kids and dress them black and see what type of treatment they get.
No. Nothing to do with race. There's what I'm explaining. What I'm explaining is regardless of their race, they're still in lower levels. I think race is part of the issue. It's a fundamental problem with the system. It's a fundamental problem with the system that people of race happen to be in. Do you understand the difference? It is not a question of black and white. It is a question of the foundation of the system in which we are in.
So institutional racism. That's the foundation of the system. If the system is based on...
You're adding in race, and I'm trying to take it out. I'm trying to say that it does not matter the race in which these kids are in.
But why are all the black kids in the lower levels? That's not because of race?
The black kids are... and that's a very hard question to answer. I can't sit here and tell you that I have the correct answer for you. I need to have facts. What I can...
But the facts is that you were in the school.
Okay.
You know most of the black kids were in the lower levels.
Okay.
And you said that there were some kids who were intelligent and they were in the lower levels.
Yeah,
but why is it predominantly the black kids in the lower levels and the higher levels are predominantly the white kids and the school is predominantly a black school?
You cannot have an intelligent conversation about race and not bring in to the discussion history. You can't not bring in history, not bring in slavery, not bringing all these factors that are so important into affecting where you are now. I mean, I keep telling people, I try to explain. You have to understand that it has not even been a decade yet since black people have been essentially free, had the right to vote.
Has not been a decade? It's been longer than that.
How long has it been?
A decade is 10 years.
Oh, I meant a century.
Okay.
Living in the wrong time.
I just wondered. Okay, but that's okay. I mean a century. Okay, right. So well, yeah. You're right.
How long has it been? I might have been wrong. I might be wrong. It might have been like 90-something years. It might be.
No, it's been shorter than that. It's been shorter than that since we had the right to vote.
I could be wrong. I really could be wrong. But I just feel that it's a hard thing to talk about and really have a fair, honest conversation about it. Mm-hmm. Because there's so many more factors. There's so many factors that go into this type of thing. And that's why sometimes I tend to stay away from it. I tend to stay away from it because everyone thinks they have the right answer, and you know, I don't know if there is a right answer.
So with that in mind, let's take a listen to this this little audio piece here. Let's take a listen to this piece.
That one day, this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Segregated schools were and are inferior schools. We still haven't fixed them 50 years after Brown versus Board of Education. And the inferior education they provide, then and now, helps explain the pervasive achievement gap between today's black and white students.
I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification,
When we take those tests, even when black and Latino students score at the top of the distribution, so even when black and Latino students do very well using the biased and absurd indicators that we use in this country, they're still 40% less likely to be put into an advanced placement class or an honors class in high school than white students who scored in the middle of the distribution. So you have average white students, according to this criteria, and of course the criteria is bogus, but understand it's the one we use. Using this criteria, white students who are merely average are still more likely to have advanced or accelerated classes once they get to high school. Now what does that mean? It means that those students are going to get more prepared for the SAT, right? They're going to get more prepared for the ACT, they're going to take the test, and they're going to do better. And we're going to act shocked when people of color do worse on a test that they were systemically excluded from preparing for. As if that is a surprise. I mean, black and Latino students of whatever socioeconomic status, 2.5 times more likely than whites to be put into remedial classes, where they're not going to receive the same instruction, they're not going to have the same coursework, they're not going to be challenged in the same way, right? And so we then act surprised when in 11th grade they take the SAT, the ACT, they don't do as well, and then our society says, well, now you're not capable of going on to college, or at least not that college, because you're not as smart as somebody else over here. The fact that the structure of the educational system guaranteed that you would not do as well, virtually assured it, is something we don't want to talk about, but that's the systemic issue.
To me, our achievement gap is largely a function of institutional racism. It's largely a function of how we do education. The overassignment of students of color to special education, that's institutional racism. It's built into the system. Institutional racism is where there's a set of assumptions, behaviors, procedures, ways of doing things that are just commonly accepted that everybody kind of participates in, but they have these inequitable results by race. Overassignment of students to special ed, students of color to special ed. Overassignment of your least experienced, least trained, least educated, most alternatively educated teachers to the kids, to students of color. If you look at a district that's very racially diverse and has middle class, lower class, all of your most experienced, most educated, best teachers will be in the middle class white schools, and the greater percentage of your least experienced new teachers, particularly brand new teachers, least educated, most alternatively certified, will be in your low-income schools, particularly students of color. And that's national, and it's accepted. That's institutional racism. Overassignment of kids of color to buildings that are the worst buildings, have the worst supplies, have the worst equipment or the least equipment. Underassignment of kids of color to gifted class. All the experts say gifted is equally distributed across all populations. So if I go into a gifted class in a diverse school, I ought to see the same proportions of kids in the gifted as I see in the low track. But 90% of the schools you go into, if you go to a low track school in a diverse school, it'll be kids of color, low income, in the low track, and in the high track will be white middle class kids.
There you have it. And that is done by an organization called Teaching Tolerance. And the first one was done by another gentleman. His name is going to come to me. And that's exactly what, these are the experts now. And that's what they say.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not people, it's not, I don't think people are saying that, oh, everything is race, everything is race, everything is race. But, you know, there comes a point in time when you have to ask yourself, I mean, are most of the black kids in the community unintelligent? Are most of the parents of those kids want their kids to be in the lower levels? Maybe the parents just don't know. Some parents have no clue that there's parents of color. Some black parents have no clue that they are levels. They have no clue what level their kids are in. Absolutely no clue. So they go through school and then the kid become a junior, just as the guy says.